Right guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. In for legs today. Pretty standard leg session. I think six maybe 7 movements today. Standing calf raise to start, adductors, leg extension, hip press, pendulum, and then single leg hamstring curl. So six movements in total. 2 major compounds, and then obviously the rest accessory work. So that's kind of how today's planning out. It's been pretty much the same session for a while now. We like to keep it pretty short, but every movement has its place in the session, and it's just what we want to run. So like you know, come with a hack squat probably last year. So I haven't done really hacks in a year. Went on to Smith squats and pendulum, so I did a week on each pretty much in terms of my squat variation compound. So I do alternate weeks on that. Got that knee niggle back in August, which lasted for about 4 months, and now strictly just on pendulum. So knee feels good. It has done for the whole of my last improvements phase 3, which I'm very happy with, to get through that without any niggles and being able to increase strength and all-time PBs every week. So very happy with that. Now, obviously, in this priming phase, goal is to still progress, especially in these first few weeks when food is still very high. Probably both days I'm sitting around 5,300 calories. High days that moves up to 6.5. Today's a high day, so I have additional carbs around training. So additional carbs around training, 50 gram of carbs pre-additional. Intra workout, which I have here, is 160 gram of carbs, which is an additional 50 gram of carbs there, where my normal intra workout would be about 110 gram of carbs. Post workout is my normal cereal with whey, and then I have 2 additional cookies, and then off-plan meal tonight. So quite a lot that goes into the high day, but it's all specifically timed in a way where it's pretty much all around training. Very easy way to get extra carbs in around training, obviously because we're utilising it, and I train fasted, so even easier for me to get it in, especially if it's coming from cyclodextrin. Just in my intro, I don't really notice it there. My intro at the moment, obviously that's a 2 litre jug. Like I said, the carbs, 160 gram of carbs, about 30 grams of clear whey isolate. Again, just an easy way to get protein in, especially if this is my first feeding of the day. And then you've got your standard creatine, electrolytes, aminos. That's pretty much it for my intra workout, along with the 2 litres of water, which I'll intake in the next 2 to 3 hours. So we're starting with standing calf raises on the pendulum. Like I always do, I'll show you my top sets. If you see more than one video of a movement, that's usually top set first, back off second. But yeah, we'll get started, and we'll take you through the session. Turn music off. Adductors, calf raises done. I ended up doing 2 top sets, a back off with 4 plates, and then I did like a just a pump set with 3, which is good. On to adductors now. 2 sets on here, 2 sets of 15 to 20, because the stack's only short. So it doesn't make sense doing a 6 to 8. I would have to like load it up with about 5 20 plates on top, which I don't think this machine can take. So do the stack plus 2 20s and a 10 for, no actually I do 2 sets on it, 2 separate sets. So I do the load I just said for a set of 16, drop to 45 kilo on top and do a set of 18. That's adductors done. And then we move on to leg extension. But yeah, one thing I'm hoping about today is my hips are less tight than last week. They were just seriously tight last week. It really impacted the session. Made me feel very vulnerable in the hole. If you ever had tight hips, you know what I'm talking about. There's just, once you get into that the hole position, there's just no, feels like there's no power. There is, because you're obviously, the strength hasn't changed, but it's just the fact of how the hips feel. And obviously your pressing, your main pressing is out the hips, so it's like, especially on like a hip press, pendulum wasn't too bad, but especially hip press, like I said, just trying to get out the hole was difficult last week. So still got my set, still nailed that. I want to redo that this week. I actually just changed that in my head. I put a +1 on when I was writing out my logbook this morning. I wrote a +1 to try and get today, but I'm actually going to redo the set, and I know it's going to be better for me if my hips are feeling good. So we'll see. I still don't know how they're feeling. We kind of just got to go in the movement and see as we go. So yeah, we'll crack on with these 2 sets, leg extensions, and then we start our main work. Let's go. Hey. 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 Oh. So, leg extension. Basically added in 3rd movement in just to warm the knees up. Get the knees fully warm, get the legs fully warm. I'm pretty warm right now, I'm sweating. Got a sweat on, which is good. Just get these knees warm now. So, as you know, I've been having niggles with my right knee for some time now. Like I said at the start, it's still a bit there. You know, when I'm warming up now, it's still a bit like little daggers right in my knee, but hopefully we can get it warm before top sets. I try and take my time with warming up on leg extension especially, because it sets me up for the rest of the session. So just take my time. When I feel ready to do a top set, I'll do it. But we got 3 top sets on here, so 3 sets of 10 to 15. Normally I like to hit 15, today's 15 reps, that's the progression. You know, I'll try and hit 15 reps for the 3 top sets, but more times than less. It's 15 for the first set, second set is more like 13, and then 11, 12 for the last set. So that's kind of how you want to see it if you're doing like a 3 consecutive sets with the same load, because I don't change the load, so it's the same load for all those 3 sets. So you would expect reps to move down. you know, for ages and only till recent, I would be desperate to hit 15 reps on every single set. That's kind of unrealistic, and you got to think, okay, if you're hitting 15 reps on every single set, are you actually taking that first set to complete failure? Which I was. I was getting to the point where I couldn't lift that load up anymore, so maybe it's just good recovery between sets, maybe it's just strong in this movement, but you do kind of want to see a descent in numbers, in reps as the sets go on, so that's kind of what we're looking at in this. You know, if I do hit 15 reps on the first set, 15 reps on the second set, and 15 reps on the third set, kind of looking at load to be moved up, but I've got the green band on here, so resistant band on here attached to the middle, which is giving it a lot of resistance at the top of the movement, which is what I want. I want to make the set as hard as possible. That's my goal with everything, every single movement, is to make that set as hard as I can. And I've got the stack and a 10 on top, so I can't really load it any more than this. I could probably add more bands, you know, but I'm still getting 15 reps, so we'll see how we get on. Last week I think I got 3 sets of 14, so yeah, we'll see how we get on with this, and then compounds next, so hip press, and then pendulum, and then single leg hand curl. So we're halfway through, 3 done, well, doing third, 3 to go. Hip. Hip press. Ugh. Time for hip press. Done 1 warm-up set so far. Feels good. Hips don't feel too tight. That's only with 3 plates aside. So we'll just have to see how the warm-ups go. But for now, we're good. I'm also training legs by myself today. Normally there'll be 2, maybe 3 other people. So pretty weird. Don't have a spot today either, so we're just gonna have to go till we can't do any more, which is failure. So we should be fine. I've got numbers in my head that I need. So we'll just have to take it by the set, see what happens. But top set back off on here. Top set back off on pendulum as well. And then we go into a single leg hand curl as well. At the moment I'm just trying to stay as hot as possible really, because it's still quite cold in here. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, so it's still quite hot. It's still quite cold, sorry. So I'm trying to stay warm. Just try and keep the sweat up till I go into my top sets maybe. I'll probably keep it on, I feel quite good. Quads are full as fuck, which is great. If you didn't know already, I'm working with ESN, so I used their Crank Pro, the golden one, which was made for Wesley Vissers when he did the Arnold special release. I'm pretty sure it's still in stock, but if you're on the website, Pond Products, Crank Pro is the absolute go-to. Double serving, 2 scoops of that does the trick. So if you're looking for like a pump product, I would definitely go with that. Code Henry, 20% off. I'm not a massive fan of stim pre-workouts. It doesn't set well with my mental state. and I get a really bad come down as well. So I always go for double espresso. That kind of sorts me out. It gives me enough energy. I don't really need too much energy, to be honest. Like I don't really need to be like hyped up by a pre-workout. I can kind of hype myself up. I don't really need that like external hype, if that makes sense. So I'm pretty good in that way. But double espresso and then a pump product is always what I go for. I've done that for years now. I mean, last time I took a stim pre-workout was probably 5 or 6 years ago. Just don't like them. It makes me feel like shit. I once had to call off a session because of how bad I felt, and that's when I was like, yeah, maybe stims aren't the one. You know, it sent me straight to the toilet, and then I just felt shit afterwards. So stay away from them. But yeah, we're gonna warm up. Warm up sets: 1, 2, 3, 6, 5 or 6 warm up sets. I don't want to take any chances on my first compound, so knees have to feel good, hips have to feel good before I go in, and then we'll hit top set. I'll probably show you top set back on this, and then we'll get into pendulum.
Come on.
Sorry.
I thought you were contemplating another then.
Was that?
I thought you were contemplating another one.
Nearly. Fuck's sake. So pendulum, hip press went well. Top set, back set on there. +1 on top set. I'm very happy with that. Considering last week was, my hips weren't great. They weren't 100%. So I really wanted to nail that this week. And reps felt good, hips felt good. It's still slightly tight. There's a bit of aching right at the top, but it's not as bad as last week, so I can only take that as progression and improvement. So back and side went well, progressed on that with a +1, I think, unmatched. And now we're on to Pendulum. So the setup for Pendulum, I will show you after this. It's basically banded, so resistant band attached to the top of the pendulum and the bottom with a daisy chain, which basically makes the top of the movement harder. Again, what I was saying earlier about making all sets as hard as possible, that's essentially what we're trying to do right now, where strength is at its peak. Without the band, I'd be using far much more load, but I'm able to use less load and kind of more resistance in the movement. So, if anything, it's better for my knees, because my knees aren't 100%. So I'm still taking care with them, which is why we introduced the resistant band in instead of adding more load. What I found was when I was on Pendulum and just adding load, the negative portion of the movement, I would feel very vulnerable in that position, going down and then into the hole, where a lot of the load is put on the knee in the hole. Whereas with a band, you can kind of, yes, it's forcing you down because it's not reverse banded, so it is forcing you down, but you're able to kind of fight against that a bit more than you are with the load, if that makes sense. So you can fight against the resistance even more, which actually makes my knee feel better and less vulnerable. It's pretty weird how it works if you're adding more resistance and you feel better in the set, but that's just how I feel. I feel better in the hole, so we kept it in that way. Again here, top set back off, and then we move into hamstring work, but so far so good with today's leg session. Yeah, no real negatives, to be honest. Just kind of doing what I need to do and hitting the numbers I need to hit to keep us on track. So this is the setup for the Pendulum. So you've got daisy chain there, attached band up to the top, wrap round there. So when we come down in the movement, obviously the resistant band gives way, and then as we come up, the resistant band takes the resistance, and we're able to force through that. So at the moment, it's at peak resistance right at the top, which obviously makes the set more difficult. So that's just the set I've got on there. And then those 20 plates down there just to keep the movement steady while I'm on. Easy. One or two.
Easy, come on.
Last one in, we've got single leg hand curl, standing. So this is my one and only hamstring movement for the leg session. My second hamstring movement goes on the end of pull on Saturday. But this is like singly what we're doing for hamstrings on leg day. No real reason why it's at the end. It just is. It just falls pretty well. Because I want to do leg extensions before my compounds, and I think adding leg extension in as well, hamstring curl in as well, would be a bit too much. So stick at the end and give it a good finisher as well. So that's what we're doing now. It's a bit of a less taxing movement, just from how it's set up and everything like that. But it's still, hamstrings are still sore tomorrow. I'll bet you that 9 times out of 10. Biggest thing during leg day, staying on top of water and electrolytes. I have electrolytes in my intra, but on leg days I seem to grab for a couple of these as well. So I also make sure, because it's a high day today, I try and get as much water in as I can, like during the start of the day, so that I'm not chugging water at the end of the night, which I was last night. I had about a litre to go and it was like 11:45 in the 11:45 midnight. So that's probably, along with like the off season, and obviously the food, is the water as well, is probably the hardest out of food and water. Water's definitely the hardest to get in, because you're putting it on top of food, and I'm still on about 6 litres a day water wise. That doesn't include monsters, that doesn't include coffees, literally just straight water. So my jug's 2 litres, so I do 3 of those a day, and that's definitely the hardest bit, just getting that water in. And it's the worst feeling when you're having to chug water before bed and knowing you've kind of got to get to bed on time. Or my routine at the moment and for the past few months has slightly changed, just based on having to stay up late to eat. So I've had to come in to the gym later than I would like to. I hate training later. I love training at 6 in the morning, fasted. I'm still fasted now, but I'd much prefer to train fasted and train that early, just so I can get home at about 9. Now it's about 12 midday. We haven't got much of the day left, and I've only done training, so it's like it takes a lot out of my day from the other stuff I need to do, and then I'm up till late trying to get that stuff done, and it just leaves me a bit behind. So once prep starts, once body weight starts to shift back down, I think once I get under the 140 kilo mark, I should be good in terms of getting that routine back and getting things in place. So that is the plan with that. But for now, we'll get all these leg arm curls, single leg, and that'll be us done. 2 sets, and do some steps and go. Whew. So that wraps us up. Legs done. Hamstring curls finished, done. I'll do a few steps, probably 15-20 minutes, just to kind of get these legs back to normal from being full blown. And then we're going to eat. Like I said, post-workout is my normal cereal with 2 cookies. We're sticking with the high days at the moment, just trying to hold body weight. So, yeah, I need to go and eat and rest. I'm fucked. Good session overall. Very happy with what was done today. Considering the change in routine, considering a change in training by myself this week, so no spot, which I just needed on that hamstring curl. Been so used to having a little spot like on the last 2, little forced reps, but I just took it to failure today, which is all we can ask for. So, yeah. Next week, I don't know. I might stick, because that went well. I might now just train in the morning on Tuesday. At some point I will need to do that anyway, but I've been training at like 11 with the guys, and it's been really fucking good for like my last improvements phase, just to kind of get me through that. But now with where we are, it's just about holding numbers and sticking tissue and making sure that I'm not damaging myself too much. So I might, go back to training by myself on leg day. I'll see how I feel next week. But for now, I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat, and then tomorrow's a rest day, thank God. I filmed yesterday, filmed today, so that's 2 weeks of footage done. Build up for this prep. And yeah, just a little talk about prep. I'm not going to talk long because I need to go, but yeah, prep, 3rd season into the Open this year, which it should be good. It should be a good experience. A new class. So the last time I competed was a novice. That was a new class because I came up from the first timers, and then we've taken the whole of 2024 off when I start 2025 to pack on size for the Open class. So, at the moment I'm about 315 pounds, which is mad to say. I never thought I'd really get to that body weight, to be honest, but my body's responded well. It's taken to the food well, and don't get me wrong, it's been fucking tough. It's been the toughest off-season I've ever done, by far. It's one thing, reaching new body weights, when you're like 80, 90 kilo, getting to like 95 is, oh yeah, a push. But I think it's second when you start to go over 300 pounds, where really the human body doesn't really want to be going over that weight. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't want to be going over 300 pounds. And I know that just from how my body's been telling me for the last few months. So it's been interesting, for sure, but it's something that I'm going to have to put up with for many, many years now, as we move further into this journey. And for me, for what I need to bring on stage and where I need to be, it's being well over 300 pounds in an off season, getting up to like 340 in an off season, and then dialing down in prep to like 300. So that's pretty much my end goal, really. Somewhere between like 280, 290, 300 on stage would be cool. Peeled. That'd be pretty cool. Which means off season has to be going to like 330, 340. That's the hardest bit. Prep is fucking easy. The hardest bit is the off season, pushing numbers and pushing body weight, pushing food. I could talk about this for fucking hours, but we'll leave it there. Appreciate you guys watching again. Stay tuned for next week's video. hoping I can get in and do a full day of eating or like a day in the life of being at 300 pounds, which would be pretty boring, but it gives you an insight of where my mindset is, and I can talk about this a bit more because it's an interesting one. It's not something that a lot of people talk about because a lot of people don't really get to that point where they're over 300 pounds. So I kind of want to share that because I am currently there, and I didn't think I would get there. Really, I didn't this early. I thought it'd be somewhere in my 30s where I'd be like reaching 300 pounds, but here we are. So, yeah, guys, I'll keep going with videos. Stay tuned. Appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you soon.